Hi guys, Michael Barrymore appeared on Good Morning Britain this morning, and it's kind of easy to forget, isn't it, what he was like in his heyday compared to the way he is now. He was appearing on Good Morning Britain to talk about the documentary that was on Channel 4 about a month ago called Barrymore, the Body in the Pool. Piers Morgan asked him if he'd seen the documentary.
Yeah, well, as much as I could watch of it, it started off as a normal documentary and then it just started to get vile and vicious and...
It was a very one-sided piece. It was just... it had a blinkered view and they're sort of trying to paint various conspiracy theories.
I don't know if you've seen the documentary. I've seen it. I'd be curious to know what you thought of it. But in this interview, Piers Morgan asked Michael Barrymore if he knew, if anyone at the party knew anything about the death of Stuart Lubbock. In fact, he kind of asked him the same question twice, and I'll play you both of those clips now. I should just say, by the way, that sometimes I'm not showing you the actual footage of the interview with everyone moving and talking, because if I do, it's likely ITV will pull my video because of copyright infringement. So that's why I've kind of done a picture with some audio, but it is from the interview, just so you know. So have a look at this.
What he wants to know, you've made it very clear that you had nothing to do with the death of Stuart Lubbock.
Yeah, absolutely.
But the question remains, do you have anything to offer the police which could lead to resolving this?
I honestly wish I did. I mean, I would put myself through 20 years of hell. So, I don't know anything. I haven't got another story. I've only got the one story that was the same when I was interviewed at the beginning, in 2006, after I come out of Big Brother. We had all this again, and then I've got no...
But you believe somebody at that party? Well, how many were there?
No, eight, nine people.
I mean,
I don't
what
believe...
people say to me, Michael, they watch live stories, and I know you got great feedback to that. I know you've had the opposite, obviously, result of feedback from this documentary. But what people say to me is, look, there were a bunch of people here, some of which you knew, some you didn't, who came back to your house, and they're all adults. There's been, obviously, some kind of partying going on. It defies credibility, people say to me, that nobody had any idea how this guy ends up dead in your pool. Do you share that sense of incredulity? Do you believe somebody knows something?
No, I don't believe somebody. Well, I can't speak for them, but from what I know, I don't believe anybody could. I can't see how it could have happened.
Have you yourself, Michael, talked to the other people who were there?
I've never seen them since that day. I wouldn't know.
All of them?
I wouldn't know if I fell over them.
All of them?
All of them, none of them. Not one. I haven't got a number, nothing.
So you don't know any of these people?
I don't know any of them.
You've never spoken to them?
Not one.
And what strikes me as odd is, has nobody ever tried to approach you who knows any of those people with any information which could be useful?
No, what do you mean by that?
Well, I mean that there's a bunch of adults partying at your house and somebody dies. And what seems extraordinary to me is that your name's been attached to this for years and years and years.
Yeah.
Why has nobody tried to contact, or maybe they have, you could let us know, but has anyone ever tried to contact you and said, look, I know one of these people, and they were saying this? It seems like there's been this weird wall of silence from everybody.
Well, the wall of silence is because they don't know. They genuinely don't know. Why?
And do you believe them?
Yes, I do believe.
Do you believe that nobody at the party knew what happened?
I do believe that.
Now, Barrymore does say some very odd things there. Firstly, he says that he's sure that no one at the party knew anything about the death of Stuart Lubbock. That seems very odd. You go to a party, someone dies, and there were about 9 people there, and you're saying that none of them knew anything. Secondly, he's also saying that he doesn't know who they are. I mean, he must have known someone at the party at his house, I presume, but he seems to claim he doesn't know who they are. All very, very weird. Then, later on, his solicitor says, yes, because Michael Barrymore did appear on Good Morning Britain with his solicitor, which does set alarm bells ringing, doesn't it? His solicitor says that given the papers that Michael Barrymore has handed to him to deal with this case, that he believes what happened to Stuart Lubbock was a tragic accident.
When I got involved, which was about 2 weeks before the documentary, Michael sent me a huge stack of papers. I've got them sitting in my office. I've gone through them all, and I mean, I just cannot see how anyone thinks that this has been anything other than a tragic accident.
Tragic accident. Now, I know Barrymore says, okay, the documentary was filled with conspiracy theories or whatever, but if you've watched the documentary, you will see 2 qualified coroners testify to the camera that Stuart Lubbock was raped before he was found dead in the swimming pool. And I'll get quite graphic here, they say he was anally raped. Now you do wonder to yourself, okay, how is it possible that someone could be raped in such a horrific way? I mean, rape's horrific anyway, but just such a horrific, vile sexual assault could take place, and absolutely no one witnessed it, and the next thing you know, the guy's dead in the pool. That is not a tragic accident. That is sexual assault followed by possibly drowning the victim. It just seems incredibly callous to call it an accident when you know that he was sexually assaulted, because the papers that the sister has would have verified that. It's very upsetting. In fact, even at one point in this interview, Barrymore got visibly upset.
Sorry, I don't want this to happen.
Now, of course, Twitter's gone a bit bonkers over Barrymore's appearance on Good Morning Britain, as you would expect. And, of course, ironically, Barrymore didn't have some very nice things to say about Twitter either.
And they, through their support, not all the ones from Twitter Street, you know, who've come up with whatever, you know, the pound shop detectives who've taken a bit of this and a bit of that, and it's a celeb, let's give him another kicking. And how many times am I supposed to be kicked?
But the interview did end with the solicitor once again saying that the facts don't add up to claiming this was anything but a tragic accident.
With Terry Lubbock, Michael, knowing you've read everything about this case, you've read about the injuries that Stuart sustained, do you believe, fundamentally, if you were Terry Lubbock, would you think your son had died accidentally? Or would you share his view that there was something more to it, given everything that you've read about this case? If you were him, if you were the father?
Honestly, based on what is there and the evidence, I would have to go down the line of it's not what he thinks.
And obviously it's hard to put yourself in someone else's shoes, but from what I've seen, it just doesn't add up to that sort of case.
And I really struggle to believe that. I think it's a shame what's happened to Barrymore. I think he's half the man he used to be, but something is obviously very wrong here. Something just doesn't make sense. And it's incredibly dark as well. It's incredibly creepy to think that such a horrific crime took place. No one knows what happened. It's all very, very strange. What do you think, though? Should Barrymore be forgiven? Forgiven for what? He's never been convicted of any sort of crime. But there is obviously a general feeling that something is not quite right. Because I don't think the public are ready to accept him back as a comedian or an entertainer. But does he deserve to be forgiven? What should he do? How could he possibly exonerate himself? It's an interesting question, because I don't know the truth. No one does, because none of us were there. But obviously, I mean, I'm a Christian, I believe in forgiveness, but at the same time I'm like, well, there is also justice, and I do wonder how much Barrymore knows that he isn't prepared to say. Because if he said it, it would drive yet another nail into what's left of his career, and he can't possibly afford that. Anyway, all very bizarre. Thanks for watching.